The room feels lighter when you walk in, but not because people admire you. It is because half of them are smiling at you while secretly calculating behind those smiles. They nod, they laugh, they pretend they care. But inside, they are waiting for the moment you stumble so that they can step over you. This is the truth Niccolò Machiavelli understood centuries ago, and it is still the same today. Friends are rarely friends. They are alliances, temporary arrangements, fragile contracts of convenience. And those who appear closest often carry the deepest knives. Most people hate to admit it. They tell themselves that loyalty is natural, that kindness ensures reciprocity, that trust creates trust. But history, politics, and human nature tell a different story. The more you depend on others, the more you expose yourself to betrayal. The more you believe in unconditional loyalty, the more you blind yourself to subtle signs of deceit. Machiavelli would tell you that betrayal is not an exception. It is the rule. The only question is, will you spot it before it crushes you? Consider this. Every empire, every dynasty, every corporation that collapsed was not destroyed by outside enemies, but by insiders. Caesar was not ended by barbarians. He was ended by Brutus. Kings were not dethroned by distant peasants. They were dethroned by their closest advisors. CEOs are not toppled by strangers. They are toppled by partners they once trusted. Machiavelli knew that the face of betrayal is familiar, not foreign. The hand that cuts deepest is the one that has already touched your shoulder. So how do you survive in such a world? You cannot rely on love. You cannot rely on trust. You cannot rely on promises. What you can rely on is vigilance, the ability to read the hidden motives behind the mask. Machiavelli's method was simple. Treat every interaction as a test. Not a test of what people say, but of what people reveal when they think no one is watching. Because the human heart leaks through subtle cracks. The false friend will always reveal himself, but only if you know how to see it. The first ruthless tactic is observation of inconsistency. Most people think lies are discovered through contradictions in words, but words are cheap. True detection lies in contradictions between words and actions. A fake friend says, "I support you," but never shows up when you succeed. They claim, "I am happy for you," but their eyes dim when you talk about your progress. They tell you, "I will be there," but their absence becomes a pattern. Machiavelli would insist that loyalty is not in what people proclaim, but in what they cannot hide when your fortune rises. Envy is the most reliable tell. Watch how their body shifts when you shine. The smile that does not reach the eyes. The cheer that comes 1 second too late. The congratulation that feels like obligation. That is the first cut of the blade. The second ruthless tactic is controlled absence. When you disappear for a while, when you withhold access, when you pull away slightly, the real faces appear. A true ally asks if you are well, waits for your return, offers stability in your absence. A false friend panics, gossips, and fills the void with poison. Machiavelli knew this well. Absence is a mirror. It shows who needs you and who resents needing you. If you want to expose someone's true loyalty, do not confront them. Step back. Watch how they speak when you are not around. The mask of loyalty only lasts when you are present. The moment you vanish, their performance collapses. The third ruthless tactic is temptation. This does not mean offering bribes or direct rewards. It means offering opportunities to betray you in small, subtle ways. Give them confidential information that does not matter, but seems valuable. Share a minor secret, then watch if it returns to you through another mouth. Place a small obstacle in their path and see if they choose your side or the side that benefits them. Machiavelli would argue that people betray not because they are evil, but because they are weak. Weakness drives betrayal more than malice. The one who cannot resist small opportunities for advantage will eventually take the larger one. By engineering these tests, you discover who they really are before the stakes are fatal. Think of this as a surgeon cutting early to prevent the disease from spreading. Most people wait until betrayal is undeniable, when it is too late, when the knife is already in their back. But the Machiavellian thinker cuts early, identifies weakness in advance, and either removes it or keeps it on a leash where it can do no harm. Power belongs to the one who predicts, not to the one who reacts. And predicting betrayal requires the courage to test those who call themselves your friends. Machiavelli was not cynical for the sake of despair. He was realistic for the sake of survival. He did not say there are no true allies, but he warned that they are rare, and that discovering them requires fire. A bond that survives temptation, absence, and envy is a bond worth keeping. A friend who celebrates your victories without hesitation, who stays steady when you vanish. who refuses small betrayals for small gains. This is the rare gem in a sea of counterfeit stones. And the only way to know the difference is to test. Most people will accuse you of being paranoid if you think this way. They will say you are cold, calculating, manipulative, and perhaps you are. But it is better to be accused of paranoia than to be destroyed by betrayal. It is better to test loyalty and lose the weak than to trust blindly and lose everything. Remember this law. The Machiavellian does not destroy his enemies, he allows his enemies to destroy themselves. And the false friend is an enemy already inside the gates. Imagine yourself at a table with 3 companions. One laughs too loud at your jokes. One compliments you in every sentence, one stays silent but steady. Machiavelli would tell you that the first 2 are the dangerous ones. Excessive praise is the cover for hidden envy. Overeager loyalty is the disguise of insecurity. The silent, steady one, though less dramatic, is more likely to be the real ally, because loyalty that must constantly prove itself is not loyalty, it is performance. And performance always cracks. The game of power is not about surrounding yourself with more friends. It is about surrounding yourself with fewer but stronger allies. Quality over quantity, steel over clay. Machiavelli's identification test is not cruel. It is merciful to yourself. It is the shield that prevents you from being gutted by those who drink at your table and smile in your face while sharpening their knives under the cloth. Betrayal cannot be eliminated, but it can be anticipated, and those who anticipate betrayal are never truly betrayed. The deeper you move into the arena of power, the more sophisticated betrayal becomes. It is not always loud, not always obvious, not always a direct stab. Sometimes it is subtle erosion, a whisper here, a delay there, a slight withdrawal of support that accumulates until your foundation crumbles. Machiavelli warned that people rarely attack you openly unless they are certain of victory. Most betrayal is quiet, designed to weaken you until you collapse under your own weight. The false friend does not shout his betrayal. He engineers it so that you blame yourself. You must sharpen your eye for the indirect tactics. Watch how they handle your failures compared to your successes. A true ally offers honesty when you stumble, but never delight. A false friend appears compassionate, but their eyes brighten. Their energy lifts because your weakness validates their envy. They are relieved to see you bleed. Machiavelli would tell you, never underestimate how much satisfaction people take in your fall. The one who praises you in your rise is often the one who celebrates you most in your ruin. That is the shadowed truth. Another signal lies in imitation. Weak men rarely build, they copy. They steal ideas, mimic strategies, borrow words. At first it feels flattering, but the Machiavellian thinker sees deeper. Imitation is often the preparation for replacement. The false friend mirrors you to study your moves, then uses your reflection against you. If you hear your own phrases echoing from another mouth, if you see your methods repeated without credit, do not dismiss it as harmless. It is the rehearsal of betrayal. The knife is being sharpened with your own steel. To test this, give them something unique, something incomplete. See how quickly they present it as theirs. How quickly they use your half-formed thought to elevate themselves. Machiavelli would smile at this because it is the simplest trap. Bait the imitator and watch him expose his hunger. He cannot resist. He must prove himself, even if it means betraying the very hand that fed him. That is his nature. But here is the hardest lesson. Not every betrayal is personal. Many betrayals are born from necessity. Machiavelli knew that when people are pressed between loyalty and survival, survival always wins. This is why he wrote, "Men are kept honest only by necessity." Translate that into your life. Your so-called friend may remain loyal only as long as loyalty is convenient. The moment necessity shifts, money, status, opportunity, they will defect. It is not hatred. It is mathematics. If you build your trust on emotion, you will drown. If you build it on calculation, you will endure. So the second stage of the identification test is this: force people to choose. Present them with moments where loyalty has a cost, not enormous but enough to test their balance. Will they risk small comfort to defend you? Will they risk minor reputation to side with you? If not, then they will never risk anything greater. Machiavelli's genius was not in assuming everyone would betray, but in knowing who would betray first. The weak betray early, the strong resist longer, and you must mark them accordingly. Consider the battlefield of conversation. The false friend rarely attacks you directly. Instead, he lets others question you, lets others challenge you, and then he remains silent. His silence is not neutrality. It is betrayal disguised as detachment. A true ally steps in even when it is inconvenient. A false ally watches you drown so he can claim he never pushed you. Machiavelli would insist that silence is a choice, and in power games, silence during your trial is a confession of disloyalty. And what of the loyalist who turns? What about the one who has stood by you for years, who suddenly withdraws? Machiavelli understood that time itself corrupts. Familiarity breeds contempt, but more than that, familiarity breeds calculation. The longer someone stands close to you, the more clearly they see your strengths and weaknesses. If they are strong, they admire. If they are weak, they envy. Proximity sharpens the temptation to replace you. This is why kings rotate their courts, why leaders refresh their councils, why even emperors exile once loyal advisors. Not always because of guilt, but because familiarity invites betrayal. The modern version of this is simple. Do not let anyone grow too comfortable in your shadow. Comfort becomes entitlement, and entitlement becomes resentment. The ally who feels he deserves what you have will one day try to take it. Control the tempo of closeness. Give but not endlessly. Trust but not fully. Allow presence but maintain distance. This is not cruelty, it is survival. As Machiavelli warned, the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. You must be both. So what do you do when you identify the false friend? Do you confront him, expose him, destroy him? No, that is the mistake of the naive. Machiavelli would never waste power on open confrontation unless absolutely necessary. Instead, he would categorize. The false friend can still be useful if kept in sight, kept dependent, kept on a leash where his betrayal benefits you more than it hurts you. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not cutting ties, but keeping them close under your control. A false ally who thinks he is deceiving you is the most valuable pawn, because he acts freely, believing he is hidden, while you are watching every move. This is the third ruthless tactic: inversion. Do not only test loyalty to identify weakness, use weakness as a tool. The envious one can spread rumors that you plant. The imitator can carry strategies you want leaked. The betrayer can destroy himself trying to outmaneuver you, while you remain still. Machiavelli did not merely avoid betrayal, he weaponized it. He turned enemies into unknowing allies by making their flaws serve his design. The knife that was meant for his back ended up cutting his rival's throat. That is power. Think of this. The court jester who mocks you and whispers can be allowed to continue, because every laugh he provokes creates the illusion of freedom. Meanwhile, he distracts attention from your real moves. The ambitious subordinate who secretly plots to replace you can be fed just enough rope to expose his intent publicly, destroying his credibility while leaving your hands clean. The partner who envies your success can be guided into overreaching, collapsing under the weight of his own schemes. Betrayal does not always need punishment. Sometimes it needs only permission. And the one who betrays himself saves you the trouble of striking. This is the Machiavellian way. Do not fear betrayal, expect it. Do not destroy the false friend immediately, trap him. Do not react with outrage, react with silence. The betrayal that is allowed to bloom under your watch becomes your evidence, your shield, your leverage. The man who betrays you once is a risk. The man who thinks he has betrayed you but has only exposed himself is a resource. The difference is whether you are awake enough to see the game unfolding. The final stage of Machiavelli's identification test is transformation. What you do after betrayal is revealed. Most people fall into one of two traps. They either forgive too easily or they retaliate too quickly. Forgiveness without consequence invites repetition. Retaliation without timing exposes you as emotional. Machiavelli would do neither. He would let betrayal ripen until it became useful, then strike in a way that secured not only revenge but control of the narrative. That is the art. Betrayal is not only something to defend against, it is something to master. Imagine you are in a council meeting. A partner undermines your idea subtly, planting doubt. You feel the sting. The natural instinct is to defend yourself immediately, to clarify, to strike back with evidence. But what happens then? You confirm their power. You confirm the value of their accusation. Machiavelli would instead lean back, observe, allow the room to process, and let the betrayer reveal more by speaking too much. Later, at the right moment, he would reframe the idea under his own authority or expose the flaw in the betrayer's words with surgical precision. The betrayer would not only lose but lose credibility. The lesson is clear. Timing converts betrayal into dominance. Another example. In personal relationships, when someone betrays your trust, Most people rush into confrontation. They demand answers, they pour out emotions, they show how deeply they were wounded. But this gives the betrayer the upper hand, because now he knows how much power he has over your feelings. Machiavelli's way is colder. Let the betrayal hang. Show no desperation. Respond not with anger, but with calm absence. That absence will rot in the betrayer's mind far longer than any shouted argument. He will replay his actions, wonder why you did not collapse, and begin to doubt his own strength. Power does not come from reaction. Power comes from control of the tempo. There is also the matter of reputation. Machiavelli warned that power is perception, not fact. If people perceive that you are easily deceived, that you are constantly betrayed, your authority erodes. But if people perceive that betrayal never touches you, that even when people attempt it, they collapse instead, your aura becomes untouchable. You cannot stop betrayal from happening, but you can control how it appears. Never let your enemy's knives look sharp. Let them look like toys breaking against your armor. The more futile betrayal seems, the less anyone dares attempt it. And here lies the paradox. Sometimes the strongest move is to let betrayal succeed, just enough to expose the traitor publicly. When a false friend reveals himself too early, do not rush to cover it up. Let the world see it. Let the mask fall, because the court, the group, the circle will not forgive betrayal once exposed. They will exile him naturally while you stand untouched. Machiavelli's brilliance was in understanding that enemies destroy themselves more efficiently than you could ever destroy them. The trick is patience. So how do you become untouchable in a world where betrayal is constant? The answer is threefold. First, expect betrayal and test for it constantly. Second, categorize the betrayers, separating those who must be cut off from those who can still serve a purpose under control. Third, weaponize betrayal itself, using it as a stage where others reveal their true faces while you remain above the noise. This is the Machiavellian cycle: suspicion, identification, utilization. Repeat it, and betrayal becomes less of a threat and more of a tool. Let us crystallize this into tactics you can carry forward. If you want to expose fake friends, do 3 things ruthlessly. Withdraw slightly and see who gossips. Offer temptation and see who bites. Rise in success and see who resents. These 3 tests will reveal everything. The one who fails all 3 is an enemy disguised as a companion. The one who passes all 3 is a rarity worth guarding. But never assume permanence, because loyalty shifts with circumstance. Trust must always be earned again, not assumed forever. This mindset will feel harsh at first. It will make you colder, less trusting, more suspicious. People may accuse you of paranoia, of cruelty, of arrogance. But remember, Machiavelli never cared about being loved. He cared about being safe, being feared, being respected. Love is fickle. Respect is conditional. But fear and caution last. If people believe betrayal cannot touch you, if they believe every false friend is revealed and neutralized, they will think twice before plotting. And that hesitation is victory. Picture yourself again at the table. The loud flatterer, the overeager loyalist, the quiet observer. You run the 3 tests silently. You withdraw for a week and hear the loud one whisper against you. You share a small secret and watch the overeager one leak it. You rise in victory and notice only the quiet observer claps without hesitation. Suddenly the truth is visible. The masks fall. You know who is false, who is weak, and who deserves a place beside you. That knowledge is power. That knowledge is survival. Machiavelli's final gift is this: betrayal is not something to fear, it is something to expect. The false friend is not a curse, he is a compass. He shows you where the cracks in your circle lie. He reveals who cannot carry the weight of loyalty. He exposes weakness so that you may cut it away before it destroys you. And in this ruthless clarity, you are not weakened by betrayal. You are strengthened by it. You stop chasing loyalty and start commanding it. You stop begging for honesty and start engineering it. You stop being a victim of betrayal and become the master of it. That is how you expose fake friends. That is how you pass Machiavelli's identification test. Do not wait to be betrayed. Force betrayal to reveal itself. Do not collapse when it happens, use it. And above all, do not seek approval, seek control. Because in the end, as Machiavelli wrote, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And when fear of losing you outweighs the desire to betray you, you have already won.